Oh, hi all. Welcome back to the 1 minute farming videos. Just realised I haven't posted a video for quite some time actually. It's the 20th of May. 20th of May. And no, we've been quite busy farming. As I say, I'm still actively farming. So these sort of jobs take a bit of a back seat at this time of year. We've just finished, well, we've been finished lambing quite some time now. We've just been on with some other jobs. And so, I realised I hadn't done a video lately, so I thought we'd better have one done. So, so this is the John Deere Model A V8 tractor conversion. Just as a quick recap for everybody, the plan is to fit that Ford flathead, turn around, into this tractor. Now, I know in the past, and one or two of you keep reminding me, I thought I was a bit of a traditionalist with these things, and yeah, I am. There's nothing better than seeing a good turned out two-cylinder John Deere. But you know what, some of us, we get an inkling to do something. It's something I've wanted to try for a while. This is a pretty run-of-the-mill standard sort of Model A, two wheels on the front, 1943-ish sort of tractor. Quite a lot of these about. And so I thought, well, converting one to a V8 isn't going to be too much of a sin. Well, in my eyes anyway. You do see them. I have seen one or two V8 conversions, mostly on the internet. Never actually seen them running. I suspect the biggest problem of all of them is getting that transmission right in there. A lot of people have talked about putting differential, the whole actual differential from a back axle in there. Yeah, you could do that. I did wonder about doing that. My problem with that is you'd have to cut up quite a bit of that crankcase to get it in. And one of the things I want to do is to be able to take anything I put into this tractor to make the V8 conversion. I want to be able to take it out again and restore that tractor back to a two-cylinder tractor. So that was one of the criteria, that the tractor had not to be destroyed in the making of this V8 conversion. And so hopefully I'm going to try and be faithful to that anyway. In the last 2 or 3 videos I think I've posted, I've shown that I've made the shaft, which is a straight shaft which sits in where the crank shaft would be on the original two-cylinder. I've made a boss for the crown wheel to fit on, and I haven't quite made it yet, but I've got a driver to go in there in the pulley, because I'm going to use the pulley and its clutch system as it would be found in the two-cylinder tractor. So if we have a quick look in the crankcase, so you can see the shaft that I made here. You can see the obviously you can see the crown wheel, and there's the boss that the crown wheel bolts to, and you can see the keyless bush. Clever things, keyless bushes, they are what they say. They don't have a key. So basically the keyless bush is tightened up by bolts which clamps to the shaft and expands to whatever hub you've got, which for this situation makes it very useful for what we're trying to do. Now, the shaft's in there. It's not in there permanently at the moment, because obviously I want to, once I've got the thing all up and set up and ready to go, I'm going to strip it all back down and shot blast it all, paint it all up, the works basically. So it'd be like the Model B that we had, but with the V8 in there. It is shimmed up at the moment to put some load on the two bearings, the tapered bearings. One there and one on this side. I have used paper shims, and you can just see them here. I have no issue with those. If they don't move, paper shims are as good as a steel shim. As long as you don't get any movement on them, they'll be fine. There'll be obviously some blanking plates to put in various places. If we go around to this side of the tractor, unfortunately where the tractor sits in the old workshop, it gets used for a bit of a shelf at this time of year, so there's some parts here that are not tractor related but I didn't move them all, there's no need to. If we just come around here, this is about my 4th attempt at this video, as my phone seems to be playing up. Never mind. So yeah, so as I say, I wanted to keep the pulley and the system of clutch that would have been found in the 2-cylinder. I'm going to make, as I said, I'm going to make a new driver to fit in there, and because obviously the original driver is balanced, to take out the balance, to match the balance on what would have been the flywheel on the other side, so I can't use the old driver, I've had to make a new one. I will use another keyless bush to clamp the driver to the shaft. I'm using keyless bushes that are obtainable in this country. I was going to use Fenner bushes, but unfortunately the ones I wanted I couldn't get at the moment in the UK. The ones I've got are some that are made, I forget who make them, but they're made in this country. They seem fine. I spoke with the company that makes them, told them what I was doing, and they told me that they would be adequately on top of their job, so that's excellent. In there you can see the that roller bearing and its track that is fitted to this shaft. As I say, that roller bearing is actually a Russian one, but SKF still make it, but you do have to buy them as a pair. So you've got to buy the track and the outer as a pair. The outer on that bearing will not fit the John Deere track. Sorry, I've got shakes there. So that's that. We've got this set. When I originally took it off, the measurement across these two areas here, from the edge of the pulley to here, is 5 inches. That gives the correct alignment for the 2 gears. So that's fine. There's no reason why the cover, when it's put back on, should have any problems. It should all clear nicely. Obviously at the moment, with it spinning like that, the tractor is not in gear, and effectively, because there's no clutch, it's in a unclutched situation. But if the clutch obviously was working, the pulley would be clamped via the clutch to the shaft. If you understand that, I'm sure everybody does, yeah. So there's the another view of the crown wheel. There's the hub, and that row of Allen studded bolts are part of the keyless bush, which will clamp the two together. Clearance wise, plenty of clearance at the back. In the front, I think I have similar, and on the top it is a bit tighter, but not much more. One of the issues I was thinking I was going to have would be lubrication, especially for the taper bearings, one there and one on this side. And so my plan is to make up a sort of channel which will run round the inside of the crankcase, and the idea is that when the crown wheel is running, it will lubricate. It will be sitting in just sitting in the oil. It will lubricate the pinion gear and the pinion bearings, because the boss I make for the pinion, I'll make so there's holes in it so that it can get oil to the bearings. But it will also flick oil up, and I'm hoping to make it so it flicks it up enough so it can throw it into this channel which will then by gravity feed it round to the two bearings. If you've had one of these gearboxes to parts, you will notice that there is a similar thing in the gearbox, but it is actually cast into the crankcase, and the oil is flicked up into that channel and it lubricates various bearings in the crankcase. In the gearbox. There's one or two holes that I'll probably have to block up again, possibly not that one, but I might have to, I don't know yet, I might have to rearrange some sort of lubrication in the bottom here. Yeah, because obviously these two gears will need to be sitting in oil. These two gears. There is another bearing to go in this area. It's just to help support this pulley. It is quite a heavy lump, is the pulley, and I think another bearing, I can get a narrow little bearing in here. I haven't put it on yet because I have it made all ready to go, but I haven't put it on yet because it is quite a tight fit on the shaft and I don't want to be knocking it on and off all the time. But yeah, these are bearing to go in there. That bearing is a sealed bearing for life. I don't think there'll be a problem with that. I mean, the tractor's not going to be used daily, and so I think a sealed bearing in here will be fine. It's just to help support this. So the next thing to make, really, is obviously, as I've said, we need to make the driver that goes in there. But the major thing I've got to make is the support for the pinion, which will obviously is going to go in here, mesh. I don't know if you can see that too well. Mesh with the crown. Yeah, we can. Oh, let me get the torch on there. Yeah, that might be better. Oh, crash. Mesh with the crown, like so. And Bob's your uncle, basically. English saying there for you guys. Now, I've had several thoughts on how to make this boss. I've got to pick another block of iron coming, as it were, which I will machine out to fit the bearings for the pinion. That bearing hasn't got knocked right on yet, because one way to adjust this pinion in its JCB, these are JCB parts, but the one way to adjust this pinion is by putting shims in here. Collapsible, it's like any differential gear, a collapsible spacer, and the other bearing goes on here, tighten the nut down and to a certain torque, and it preloads the bearings. So, but I might do it a slightly different way. The boss that I'm going to make is going to obviously come in here. Now originally I've got a piece of flat steel here, I don't know if you can see that big piece of flat steel. It's about inch thick. It'll be cut to fit inside here and pick up all these bolts, which will bolt it to that face. And now originally I was going to machine a hole in the plate, obviously, and I was going to weld it in, but I am a little bit concerned about welding it in that I just feel welding's all right, but I just feel that there might be stresses put into that welding, and I don't know if I'll get any distortion on the plate. I don't know. But, so at the moment I'm obviously going to cut the hole in the plate, but I've got a big enough piece of metal that I might actually I will obviously machine the metal to fit the hole, but I think I'm going to bolt them together. I'll put a row of bolts round the boss. It means also that I can get the the distance at the pinion and the crown this way correct, because I can put some shims in between the boss and the plate. Sounds all good in theory. So I think that's the way I'm going to go at the moment. Yeah. It is going to be critical, this pinion to the gear, definitely. It's definitely going to be critical. It will be spinning faster than it's ever spun before in any service that it would have had in a JCB. The lubrication is going to be key. The tolerances to some extent will be key. If it's too tight, it'll warm up and destroy itself. If it's too slack, it'll do the same. I will have to govern the engine to a certain speed, so you can't over rev it. The work I've done on the ratios will give it a similar speed as it would have had with the two-cylinder engine, just to make it authentic, as it were. But it still means that pinion is going to be doing probably twice the speed it would do in the JCB situation. So yeah. So let's hope JCB have made these two parts well. No, I think it's more likely, let's hope that David can get them to mesh correctly. So yeah. What else have we got? So we have the flywheel here. I just had that out to see what clearances I've got in here. It is going to fit all right. To give me a central hole. This part here would have originally been the handbrake on the JCB. So it goes on the JCB load all would have had a handbrake on the axle. Now my plan is, because obviously I wanted the splined bush in here, I wanted the spline. My plan is actually, I think I see no reason in keeping this as one large piece, so I think I will cut this down to, take maybe 1.5 inches off it, and that will give me a flange to be able to bolt the engine to. Well, not literally bolt the engine to, but it'll give me a flange to be able to I'm thinking I'm going to put some sort of rubber coupling that you might find in a marine application, to be fair. That's what I'm thinking. It'll just take a bit of a sting out of the back of the engine, which might be transferred from the gearbox to the engine. Again, I'm still thinking about those sort of things at the moment. So yeah, so that's where we are. This video seems to be running away with itself. Can't get a video out of me for ages, and all of a sudden I make a 20-minute video. So yeah, so that's where we are with it all.